Thank you for clicking on this help video. So let me guide you on how to answer this question on your homework. So we have here an initial investment of $400 is going to double in value over 8 years. And the first part, part A, is to find the K value, the growth rate, and estimate that number to 3 decimal places. Well, the formula to figure out the value of K, our growth rate, is the following. K equals to the natural log of the ratio of A of t over A of 0 divided by, and that number gets divided by the time. So since we're starting off with initially $400 and we're going to double it in 8 years, so A of 8 is $800, then we know that this ratio of A of t, which is going to be A of 8, is going to over the A of 0, the 800 over 400, that's going to simplify to 2, again, doubling. So we're going to simply take the natural log of 2 and divide it by the time, which is 8 years. So let's plug this into Desmos. So here I'm going to start by clicking on the divide, and then the numerator, I want the natural log, again, of this ratio, which simplifies to 2. If you're more comfortable writing, again, your 800 over your 400, you can, but that's going to be the same thing, like I mentioned, as 2. And that answer, that number right there, as you'll see, that number will be divided by 8 years, which gives us this value there. I'm going to store this into K, and I'm going to round this number K to 3 decimal places. So here is our value for K. So we have the answer to part A. And now, knowing that the value of K equals that, we can now create the model for this situation. So the initial investment amount that we have here, we'll call it A of t, is going to be modeled by this $400 that we're starting off with, e to this K value of positive 0.087 multiplied with t. And all I did here was the following. I didn't write this. Let me write this over. We want to write again the model of this thing. Oh, there we go. Let me select the entire thing so I can move it over. And all we're doing is writing again the equation in this format of A0e to the k t power. And we already knew what the A0 was, A naught, that was our 400. We just didn't know what the value of K is, but again, having found that from part A, we now have the value. So this is your answer for part B. We can now use this number in order to calculate the investment value after 12 years. So part C is essentially just asking us to replace the t value with 12 and evaluate this function here. So using this model here and replacing the t value with 12. So 87, and we're going to replace 12 for t. Now let's plug this into Desmos and see what value we get. So here I have this value. I'm going to call this value A. So A, again, gets evaluated to this. We're going to round the value of A to 0 decimal places. So your answer is 1136, so 1136, which now finally leads us to the last one. So we're going to do, using the same answer from part B, using this model here, we're going to determine the time it's going to take for the investment to reach this amount. So we know that A of t equals to the 400e to the 0.087t. And we also know that it's at some time, we want this value to specifically equal to 3,521. So I'm going to solve this by setting an equation and getting these two things equal to each other. Because if this is one form of representing A of t, and we also want A of t to equal specifically to that number, so that means we're going to get this and equal it to that and find the value of t. Now let's go through the steps of how to solve this. Well, to solve this, we're going to start by first dividing both sides by 400. And that's going to give us e to the 0.087t equals to this ratio of 3521 over 400. And the way to get rid of the e is to take the natural log. So I take the natural log of the left side, take the natural log of the right side, and that cancels out the e and the natural log. In simple terms, it does that. So 0.087t equals the natural log of, again, that ratio. And then we're going to divide both of these value sides by that value of k. So t equals the natural log of 3521 over 400, and dividing that by 0.087. So the only thing left to do now is to plug it into decimals and see what numerical value we get. All right, so we're going to type this into decimals. Here I am. So t, I'm going to set it equal to t. So t equals, I'm going to first click on the divide symbol because I want the natural log in the numerator. And again, I'm going to divide 3521. Let me double check. Yeah, 3521. I want to divide that number by 400, okay? So notice I still have the division fraction there, and I want to divide, and that number gets divided by the k value, which would again was 0.087. So we get that the value is 25. So there is your answer. And there you have all your answers, and that's how you do again this question here. I hope this video was helpful, but if you do have any questions or are still stuck on anything, please message me through Parent Square or email, or on the app My Open Math. There's a little icon that you can click to message the teacher, so I know exactly which question you're having trouble with. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.